What's up, nerds? I'm a frog with the Star Wars Lego collection, and today we're ranking every Halo level. From the shooters, we're not worrying about Halo Wars or Spartan Assault or any other goofy stuff. We're gonna do this in a tier list format, so I'll give each level a letter grade, and then within each tier it'll be ordered best to worst from left to right. I can't speak to other people's tier lists, but in this video I'm going to grade these levels at about a normal distribution. This basically just means really high and really low grades are going to be given sparingly, and most levels will be graded as either a B or a C. I think this makes sense because if you grade too many levels as an S or an A or a D or an F, those outlier grades start to lose their meaning. But no matter how geeky I get, this is still all just opinion based, and I'm ranking 85 levels in total, so there's not a single one of you watching that will agree with every placement I make, so feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. So let's go game by game in release order and give each level a grade. Pillar of Autumn, the level that started it all. As an introductory tutorial level, I think it's pretty much perfect. It's really short, which is probably a point in its favor because it would get repetitive otherwise, but good level, I give it a B. Your first time playing Halo, it's pretty cool, but upon repeated attempts, this is one that I've started to like less and less, and the second half in the Warthog borders on being tedious. I'll give it a C. I love Truth and Reconciliation. I love the sniper and getting to run around a Covenant ship, but I also completely understand why a lot of people don't like it, which is the repetitive nature of the ship and the Keys escort at the end. I'll give this a B. Silent Cartographer is the classic Halo level. If I had to pick one level to show someone who's never played Halo before, this would be it. Good work, Jamie. This one's an S. In the past, I was too critical of Assault in the control room. The copy-pasted rooms are a pretty overblown problem. There's not as many as people who complain about it would have you think, and the encounters in each are all different. The only thing holding this level back for me is a tank section because the CE tank sucks. If CE had the Halo 2 tank, this would be an S, but I'll just put it at A. 343 Guilty Spark is a great mission. It introduces the Flood and has a scary atmosphere, and the maze-like Forerunner structure is perfect for a pseudo-horror level. This one's also an A. I've been rough on the library in the past, so I may shock some of you here, but it's actually grown on me some. I still think it's bad, but it's not the worst thing ever. I can enjoy playing it. But for all the reasons you've heard a million times before, this is a D. 2 Betrayals. Flying in the Banshee is cool. This is the first multi-enemy faction level of the game, so there's that. But overall, I think it's just Assault in the control room, except not as fun, and after just playing a level with all the same rooms you go through here, this is where I think it starts to feel repetitive. I'll give it a C. The main problem with Keys for me is the ground combat on the Halo ring. I don't like any of these encounters. I do like the stuff inside the ship, which I'm guessing is what most people dislike about this level, but nonetheless, I'll give it a D. The Maw's a really good finish to see and a nice bookend. The Warthog run is obviously iconic, but I don't think it's quite to the upper echelon of Halo levels, so this is a high B. Here's my list after CE. On to Halo 2. We're now counting the Heretic or Armory, so next up is Cairo Station, my favorite opening level of any Halo game. I think it sets the tone well. I like the environment in both the indoor and space sections, and there are no Jackal snipers. B. Outskirts does have Jackal snipers, and yeah. I know some people complain about the holdout section to start, but I don't mind it. I'll give Outskirts a C. I like Metropolis better than Outskirts. You have the tank section, fighting in the first tunnel, but after that, the Goshawk section I'm not a fan of, and the Scarab fight is okay. This is another C. Arbiter is a really good level. The Heretics are fun to fight against. It's your first time getting active camo, and I think in the game it's a good change up from the first 3 levels. What holds it back for me is the Banshee section at the end drags on too long. You can just skip it and fly straight to the end, but still, I'll give it a B. The Oracle is a tale of two halves because the first half is terrible. You sit on an elevator for 5 minutes, then have another long holdout in this room. Not good, but as bad as the first half is, once you get outside, the level becomes amazing. Except for the boss fight, I could still do without that. I'll give the Oracle a C. Delta Halo is a great level. It's your first time on the new Halo ring. It has another great tank section. Like Silent Cartographer, it's just classic Halo. I don't think it quite gets to the very peak, but this is a high A. Regret is overall another great mission. For me, what holds it back is the Regret fight and this room. Whose idea was it to jam-pack a dozen Jackal snipers in a room where you can't see anything? Was it you, Marty? Huh? Regret's a B. I once described Sacred Icon as a better version of the library, but I actually got it wrong. This level is the library, but worse. If Halo 2 Shotgun wasn't terrible, I would probably like it better, but nonetheless, Sacred Icon is our first F. Quarantine Zone I'm also low on. I think the vehicle section is good, but getting out and going through the Sentinel factory sucks, and then the gondola ride at the end is 5 minutes of boring. I'll give it a D. But it's followed up by Gravemind, which is, spoiler alert, my favorite level in the entire series. I think it's perfect. I love the high charity environment and navigating your way through a civil war where your enemies are all fighting each other. It's awesome. Gravemind is our second S. With Uprising, I really like the start, and I like the ending where you're navigating through these Forerunner structures on foot, but what drags this level down for me is the vehicle section. You have a Ghost, and on Legendary at least, your Ghost is not good enough to deal with what's coming at you. Uprising is a B. Atmospherically, High Charity is probably the best Flood level alongside 343 Guilty Spark. The difference is that 343 Guilty Spark is also fun to play, but this isn't. I give High Charity a D. Great Journey is the unspectacular conclusion to Halo 2. It's fine, but I think that's all it is. Fighting with Hunters is cool, but the opening on Legendary, at least without a Wraith, sucks. With the Wraith though, it's fun. I'll give it a C. Here's everything after Halo 2. On to Halo 3. Arrival is just a cutscene, so we're skipping that and going to Sierra 117. Like The Great Journey, I would describe it as unspectacular. It's a good level, it's fine, but it's nothing amazing. I do like it better than The Great Journey though, and this one I'll give a B. The main issue with Crow's Nest is the backtracking. You go in this room 3 different times and then clearing the hangar and walking all the way back where you came from. It's a little boring. I still like it. I really like the barracks section, but yeah, I think this is a slightly below average Halo level. I'll give it a C. Savo Highway I don't really like. I'm not a fan of the Warthog section to start. The holdout I think is alright and the ending is tedious. This one's a D. The Storm I think is a highly regarded level. I like the on-foot combat and the buildings and the outdoor section at the end, but what I'm not a fan of here is the vehicle sections, especially the second where you're just given a mongoose. It does have the Scarab, but other levels also have Scarabs. The Storm to me is a B. Floodgate is essentially just backtracking through the storm, except now there are flood and the atmosphere is really creepy. I like the backtracking here. It plays completely different with the flood now being the enemy, and I think it's neat to see how the flood affect environments you've already seen. Floodgate is an A. The Ark is another classic Halo level. I really like the sniper section to start, the tank section, and the ending. The only thing that drags this level down for me a bit is the first vehicle section, which I think goes on too long. But emphasis on a bit, that's really just a nitpick. This level is still awesome. The Ark I'll give a really high A. This is now the 3rd video on this channel I've said this. You should have played as the Arbiter and the Covenant, but I'm not holding that against it. This level is amazing. I don't even think I need to explain it. This level is an easy S. Unfortunately, it's followed up by the worst level in the game by a mile and my least favorite in the entire series. Cortana has absolutely nothing going for it. The constant interruptions are annoying, there's too many pure forms, the environment has no resemblance to High Charity, and it's a slog to get through. This level sucks. It's an F. Halo has a really great second half with the escape and the Warthog run. The first half I think is just okay though. Overall, I'll give it a B. Here's my tier list after Halo 3. Next up, ODST. Mombasa Streets I'm not counting as its own level because it's really just a hub world, so with ODST we're starting on Tayari Plaza. Tayari Plaza is really good, the issue is just that it's super short. Like, you can beat this under 10 minutes on Legendary fairly easily. I'll still give it a B. I would imagine Uplift Reserve is more fun playing with a friend and having a real person on the gun, but for me just playing solo, this is a lot like Savo Highway where I'm not really a fan of the Warthog section. It's fine, but yeah, I'll give Uplift a C. This is a hot take, but Kazingo Boulevard is my favorite tank level in all of Halo. Levels like the Ark or the Covenant I think are better overall, but just in terms of the tank sections, yeah, this is my favorite. I love getting to use the tank in the city environment. Kazingo to me is an A. Oni Alpha Site is solid, it's a good level, but in a game that I think has pretty stellar level design throughout, it's probably the most forgettable. But still, I think it's a B. NMPD HQ is another great level. I love the sniper and they load you up on ammo, so ammo conservation is not a consideration at all. You are free to abuse the sniper rifle. And then the holdout section at the end, finally having most of the ODST squad together minus the rookie and Dare is great. This level is an A. Kikawani Station is a Banshee level and it's good, it's fun. Kinda like Tayari, my main issue is that it's just really short. What is here is great, but there's not much else to it. I'll give it a B. Until I started this channel, I never knew that Data High was an unpopular level. I love it. It's a really fun place to fight bad guys. There is variety in the environment. The drone high fight is something completely different. I think it's a great level. This one for me is also an A. One thing I need to emphasize with Coastal Highway is that I play on Legendary, and yeah, this level sucks on Legendary because Buck is an idiot who won't shoot. I would imagine it's fine on lower difficulties, but for me, I'll give Coastal Highway a D. After ODST, here's where we're at. Next up, Halo Reach. Skipping ODST's epilogue and Noble Actual, the first mission of Halo Reach is Winter Contingency. I think the opening combat after the Covenant is first revealed is pretty lame. I like the second half of the level a lot better, but overall not my favorite mission. I'll give it a C. Sword Base I like better than Winter Contingency, but it still just feels like a filler level, like Halo by the numbers. This one to me is also a C. Nightfall does not feel like a filler level, but to me it's still just not better than alright. Like, I've never said to myself, you know what I feel like doing right now? Playing Nightfall. I don't think it's bad, but it's just not that memorable. I'll give it a C. Tip of the Spear is a level that I don't hold in nearly as high of a regard as probably most of you. I think it's good, but I wouldn't call it amazing by any stretch. I think it's just solid all around. This one to me is a B. Long Night of Solace I'll make short. I hate the Saber section, that drags down the whole thing for me. I do like the combat and the Corvette later in the level, so that saves it a bit. To me, this is a D. Exodus is my most replayed mission from Reach. I love this level. This is when the feeling of desperation starts to set in, and going around the city trying to save Marines from the brutes I think is really captivating itself, and it's helped by the fact that the encounters are all pretty fun. This is an A. New Alexandria really amps up that feeling of desperation and melancholy. I like the Falcon and flying around to different objectives, and the objectives themselves are fun to take care of. This is another A. The package is this game's tank level, and I think the tank section here really carries it. Reach's tank is awesome, and fighting your way to Sword Base is great. The rest of the level is alright. I like the holdout section at the end. I'll give it a B. Pillar of Autumn I feel similarly about as Tip of the Spear, where I think it's a good level, but it doesn't completely just blow me away. No offense to Breaking Benjamin. To me, this is another B. Now that Reach is done, it's time to move on to the 343 Halo games, everyone's favorite. Not counting Lone Wolf or Halo 4's prologue, Halo 4 starts with Dawn. Dawn is a great opener. I think it really starts Halo 4 off on the right foot, and it's fun to go room to room clearing Covenant with the space section thrown in as well to change things up. It's not in the upper echelon of levels for me, but yeah, it's another good level. I'll give a B. But it's followed up by my least favorite level in Halo 4, Requiem. I think the Warthog section is stupid and pointless considering most people, including myself, play solo and don't have a gunner. This is probably the level where Halo 4's ammo scarcity has the biggest negative impact, especially on Legendary, and it's tedious to get through. Requiem is a D. Forerunner, I was also surprised to find out a lot of people don't like. I think it's a good level. I like the multi-faction fighting, the vehicle sections, and I think the indoor area where you free the Didact is great. I do think it runs a little long, but overall a good level. I'll give it a B. Speaking of running long, Infinity is way too long. I like some of the stuff here, specifically the tank and mana section, but my goodness, you spend way too much time in this forest. I still like it, but this is gonna be a C. With Reclaimer, I actually really like the Mammoth and building an entire mission around it. It's interesting and unique. This is a B. Shutdown feels more like a missed opportunity than anything else. The Pelican is pretty boring. I don't hate the rest of this level like a lot of people do, but I'm still just gonna give it a C. Composer is a great mission. You're fighting only Covenant, there's 0 Prometheans, and the space station is a great environment. This also has another great mana section. For me, this is an A. Midnight's a solid close to the game. The space section here I think is actually pretty good, and the rest of it's good enough. You only fight Prometheans, but I think the encounters still work. This is a B. That's Halo 4, and here's the tier list so far. Next up, Halo 5. Halo 5's campaign I think starts off well with Osiris. It's a good introduction to Halo 5 and it's fun to play through. Whenever I played this level for the first time, being my first next-gen Halo game, I thought it looked amazing, and I still think it looks pretty good. But yeah, fun level, I'll give it a B. It's followed up by Blue Team, which again, I think it's a good mission. I like this environment, the hunter sequence of course, and the fact that there's no Prometheans. This is another B. Unfortunately, this is a point in Halo 5 where I think the missions start to become completely forgettable. Not terrible, I'd rather play these than Cortana, but there's just nothing memorable about them at all. So Mission 3, Glassed, I'll give a C. We're skipping Meridian Station, the other non-combat levels, so we're on to Unconfirmed. This one does introduce Warden Eternal, so it has something of note at least, but still, I'll just give it a C. Evacuation I think was the worst of the Meridian levels, so this one I'm giving a D. Reunion has another Warden Eternal fight. You also get to fly a Phaeton, but overall, again, this mission just feels like meh. I'll give it another C. The next 3 missions, Swords of St. Helios, Enemy Lines, and Battle of Sanion, aren't my favorite levels ever, but I think they're all good. The main issue is just that they bleed together. But these 3 I will give all Bs. Genesis takes you back to the same environment as Reunion. There's a tank and Warden Eternal fight. Overall, it's an okay level. I'll give it a C. The braking I actually liked quite a bit, which was surprising for a Promethean only level, but this level infamously has a 3 Warden Eternal fight. I'll knock it down a bit for that. This I'll give a C. Guardians is another unspectacular level. I do like that they brought back the Manus, but overall this is another just mid-level. I'll give it a C. Here's the list after Halo 5, and now, last but not least, Halo Infinite. One of my biggest issues with Infinite is that every level feels pretty much the same. None of these were really that memorable at all, for better or for worse. So we're gonna have a lightning round. Warship Gabrakan is pretty good, it's a B. Foundation is a C. Outpost Harmonious, also a C. Recovery is a D. The Tower, actually pretty good, is a B. Evacuation Site, Conservatory, Spire, all Cs. Hi. Note from the editor. Frog said evacuation site. What he meant to say was excavation site. You'll have to forgive him. He has a disability called being stupid. Pelican Down is interesting, that's a B. The sequence sucks, it's a D. And Nexus, Command Spire, Repository, The Road, and Silent Auditorium are all unmemorable. House of Reckoning isn't unmemorable, it has the boss fights, but I'm not really a fan of them. Nonetheless, each of these levels I'm giving a C. That's my tier list. Like I said, none of you are going to completely agree with me, and that's totally fine. I look forward to reading your civil disagreements. If you like this video, then click the video on screen to watch me make fun of Halo 3. Goodbye.